What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Super Sports Talk Show. I'm your host, Carter. Today, on this What Happened Wednesday, episode 2, we're going to talk about what happened in NFL Week 15 of 2022. As I said, thank you for joining me. Last video I did for What Happened Wednesday, it was a little lengthy. I apologize for that. So this time, I was just getting used to things. It's a new rhythm I'm trying to get in. But as I said, I'm gonna shorten it up this time. I went back and watched it, and some stuff I could have left out, and some stuff I could have covered better. But this time I'm gonna try to cover as much as I can, and then it might be a little bit more lengthy because we're not gonna do um, Saturday weekend news this week. That being because it is the holidays, Christmas Eve, Christmas. So I want you guys to enjoy your holiday. I'm not going to be uploading. I'm going to be spending time with my family, probably watching football. But yeah, I'm going to enjoy my weekend, Christmas Eve and all that. So I want you guys to enjoy that as well. You don't need to be watching old me, and you need to be enjoying your holiday with your family. But yeah, we're going to put a little bit of news in here. I'm not going to cover too much. But major things I'm mainly going to cover. I'll talk on the Jalen Hurts situation. I'll talk about Odell Beckham Jr. And yeah, we'll go from there. So, okay, we're going to start right out of the gate here. Last Thursday, December 15th, we had the San Francisco 49ers go up against the Seattle Seahawks in what was a fantastic game. Forgive me, I did not get to watch much of this game. Um, Almost forgot that it was happening. But Brock Purdy, again, going into this, once again had a fantastic game. Um, Let me see here, get into my stats. I'm not going to run through everybody, but as I said, Brock Purdy had a fantastic game, 217 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. He was sacked once, and he had a fantastic game there. Rushing-wise, Christian McCaffrey had 108 yards, 1 touchdown, and 26 carries. That was fantastic. Receiving-wise, George Kittle led the San Francisco 49ers in receiving with 4 receptions, 93 yards, and 2 touchdowns in that game. On the Seattle side, Geno Smith, the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, had 238 yards, so a little higher than Brock Purdy. 1 touchdown and got sacked 3 times, so the sack number is a little high there. Kenneth Walker III for rushing for Seattle, he did fantastic. He had 12 carries, 47 yards, no touchdowns, so probably around half, if that, to Christian McCaffrey. So Christian McCaffrey had a fantastic game. And then leading the Seattle receiving game was Tyler Lockett with 7 receptions, 68 yards, and no touchdowns. So San Francisco nearly wiped the board in this. Going into the half, it was 14-3 San Francisco, and then it did not stop there. The end total was 21-13 49ers. Niners are now 10-4, while the Seahawks are now 7-7. I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Niners did clinch their division. So congratulations to them. Shout out to Brock Purdy. He did a great job. But Niners are looking very powerful going into the playoffs. So I really think that they're going to do something special, and hopefully we get something good. But as I said, 21-13, the final. The 49ers walk away with it and clinch their division. Next game, on that Saturday, we had the first of 3 games. We had the Indianapolis Colts take on the Minnesota Vikings in what was probably one of the most talked about games over the weekend. Indianapolis Colts not having a good record. They were 4-8 and 4-8-1, while the Vikings were 10-3. Once again, the Vikings being at home in this game. Matt Ryan had 182 yards, 1 touchdown, and got sacked 3 times, while Kirk Cousins for the Vikings got 460 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, and 7 sacks. So Kirk Cousins, His sack numbers and his interception numbers are a little high, but the yardage and the touchdowns were incredible for Kirk Cousins. So I think he did a fantastic job in that game later on, and I'll get to that in a minute. Rushing wise, Zach Moss led the Colts. He had 24 carries, 81 yards, and no touchdowns, sorry. And then Dalvin Cook obviously led the Minnesota rushing, 17 carries, 95 yards, and no touchdowns as well. Receiving wise, Michael Pittman got 10 receptions, no touchdowns, and 60 yards, while KJ Osborne actually led this game with 10 receptions, 157 yards, and 1 touchdown. And then Justin Jefferson, obviously, right behind him, 12 yards, 12 receptions, 123 yards, and 1 touchdown as well. And Dalvin Cook is right under there, too. Same with Adam Thielen. But as I said, going into this, Colts did not have the best record, and Vikings did not either. Vikings obviously coming off a loss to the Detroit Lions in week 14. And shockingly, going into the half, 33-0. The Colts were up 33-0. Colts were dominating the Minnesota Vikings. People did not know what was happening in Minnesota. And then after halftime, Kevin O'Connell must have just spoken words of gold to these men. And just right after, just bang, bang, bang. Vikings just piled on points. Colts were just letting them up like crazy. I don't know what happened to the Colts. Vikings, something snapped in them that happened. But in the end, after being up 33-0, the Indianapolis Colts fall to the Minnesota Vikings 39-36. I don't know what happened to the Colts. They fell apart in the second half. The first half looked incredible for them. It looked awful for the Minnesota Vikings. But the Vikings came back and just destroyed the Colts in the second half. And they ended up picking up the win to clinch their division. And if I'm the Indianapolis Colts, I would be heavily embarrassed because that was just a horrible showing of a football team in that second half. They had an insane lead, and they let it up. But as I said, the Vikings clinched their division. And if the Vikings were losing to the Colts this bad, it does make me a little nervous for the Vikings going into the playoffs. But I do think they'll do okay. But do I think they'll go all the way? Not really. But I do think they'll do decent. But as I said, 39-36, the Vikings pull off the biggest comeback in the NFL season and possibly NFL history. All right, next game we have. Later that day, we had the Baltimore Ravens take on the Cleveland Browns. And as I said, if you guys wanted to see my predictions for this week, there is a short on the channel that I put up. I already have mine set for week 16. That's going to go up on Friday. But yeah, I already have that set. I did about 50-50 on my predictions about being correct and incorrect. Excuse me. But yeah, as I said, I was about 50-50. I did pretty good. The Niners game I did predict right. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think I predicted the Niners game right. The Vikings game I did predict right. Well, Niners game I didn't predict. Vikings game I predicted right. And then the Ravens-Browns game I predicted wrong. So let's go ahead and see where I was wrong at here. Obviously Lamar Jackson being out, and I just thought Ravens had something going. Same thing with the Rams, so we'll get on that later. But here we go, going in. Tyler Huntley led the Baltimore Ravens into Cleveland. He had 138 passing yards, 1 interceptions, no touchdowns, and got sacked 3 times. While Deshaun Watson had 161 passing yards, 1 touchdown, at 3 sacks as well. J.K. Dobbins led the Baltimore Ravens in rushing with 13 carries, 125 yards, and no touchdowns, while Nick Chubb led the Browns in rushing with 21 carries, 99 yards, no touchdowns as well. Receiving wise, we had Mark Andrews lead the Ravens, 3 receptions, 31 yards, no touchdowns, while Amari Cooper led the Browns, 4 receptions, 58 yards, no touchdowns as well. So yeah, it was basically a game, um, really loaded with field goals, basically. Um, but yeah, it was a very slow game throughout. Um, a ton of scoring really happened, mainly by the Browns, but I mean, one field goal by the Ravens. I mean, it was brutal. But as I said, Ravens walking in with the better record than the Cleveland Browns, but Cleveland Browns get it done. It's 13-3 Cleveland, as they move up to 6-8, and the Ravens fall to 9-5. But they still have playoff chances for the Ravens, so I wouldn't give up on them yet. But yeah, a very shocking display by the Ravens and the Browns here, in a very slow game, what I thought, but it was a good game. All right, the final game for that day was the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. This was a very fun one. Yeah, just fun all around. Um, let's see. I don't think I'm mistaken, but the Bills may have won by a field goal. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. Um, but yeah, as I said, let's get into these stats here. Passing yards, Tua led that obviously with 234 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and got sacked twice. Well, Josh Allen, he had 304 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and 2 sacks as well. So a little even there. Josh obviously had the more yards and the more touchdowns. But it looks like the defense was really getting to both of them on both sides. Rushing yards, Raheem Mostert had 17 carries, 136 yards, and no touchdowns rushing wise for the Dolphins, while Josh Allen led rushing in that game um, with 10 carries, 77 yards, and no touchdowns as well, with Singletary right behind him. Receiving wise, Jalen Waddle led that for the Dolphins with 3 receptions, 114 staggering yards, and 1 touchdown, while Tyreek Hill was right under him. And Dawson Knox, the tight end for the Buffalo Bills, 6 receptions, 98 yards, and 1 touchdown, while Stefon Diggs was right under him. So, it was a very close game. A very close game by Bills and Dolphins. But as I said, both these teams, fantastic. I mean, they're both close right there in the playoff hunt. Um, it's looking good. Obviously, honestly, for both these teams, Dolphins move down to 8-6, while the Buffalo Bills move up to 11-3. They did clinch their division, and they are in the playoffs now. They clinched their playoff spot. But yeah, the Buffalo Bills do defeat the Miami Dolphins 32-29 in what was a very fantastic game. I really enjoyed this one. But yeah, as I said, both defenses were pretty strong in this game. But the offensive wise, they did pretty decent as well. But as I said, Buffalo Bills looking to win it all this year. Could it happen? I definitely think it will come down to the Chiefs and the Bills. But yeah, as I said, fantastic game by the Bills and the Dolphins. All right, next game here we had, moving into Sunday, we had the Detroit Lions, my boys, take on the New York Jets. And what was, as a Lions fan, a extreme nail biter. Obviously, Lions being 6-7, Jets being 7-6. So the Jets had that one game advantage over us. But let's get into stats here. Jared Goff, 252 passing yards, 1 touchdown, did not get sacked again. This guy has been through multiple games, has not gotten sacked. Jared Goff is being a fantastic quarterback right now for the Lions. While Zach Wilson started the game for the New York Jets, as he had 317 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and got sacked 4 times by the Detroit Lions defense. So not too good for Zach Wilson, but he did do pretty decent. He did lead Goff over passing yards. Rushing wise, DeAndre Swift actually led this game with 8 carries, 52 yards, and no touchdowns, while Jamal Williams had 13 carries, but he only got 33 yards. While Zonovan Knight had 13 carries, 23 yards, and no touchdowns for the New York Jets. Receiving wise, Amon-Ra St. Brown led the Lions with 7 receptions, 76 yards, no touchdowns, while Garrett Wilson led the New York Jets with 4 receptions, 98 yards, and no touchdowns as well. This was a very, as I said, a very nail biter game. Uh, it was left and right. The Lions defense was incredible right out of the gate on the Jets, and then the Jets just started scoring. It just kept going and going. The Lions offense was not doing too hot that game. Head coach Dan Campbell did say that himself. So hopefully they fix that in the Carolina Panthers this Saturday on Christmas Eve. Um, and as I said, I'll show you guys my predictions on Friday in the short again. But as I said, it looked like the Jets were going to take it. There was 2 minutes left in the fourth. Jets were going to take it. I believe it was, it was 13-17. 13-17, Jets were up, and it was on third down. And Goff throws to Brock Wright, and he drops it. They did not know what to do. It was fourth down, nail biter for the Lions fans. Was for sure it could have been the end for the streak here. But fourth down, they go for it, and Goff snaps back. Brock Wright wide open, passes, rushes it all the way back for a touchdown. Lions get it up 20-17. Clock starts running down, and then the Jets get it in field goal position, get about a 50-yard shot, and their kicker heavily misses it off to the left, and the Lions barely escape this one. But the streak is still alive for the Detroit Lions. As we move up to 7-7, we are a 500 team. We have now back-to-back games on the road have been won, and we'll see if we can make it 3 in a row on the road against the Carolina Panthers. While the New York Jets fall to 7-7, but this does not do anything to their playoff hunt. They still are an incredible team, and they're incredibly contentional for the playoff season. So I think it looks pretty decent. All right, guys, I apologize. My computer did die on me. I had to charge it up, so I apologize. But you guys are going to see the back footage of that. I am editing it back. So, as I said, sorry, my volume went off. But as I said, Lions had a great week. And you know, I'm charging my computer right now. Sorry, I'm getting off topic. I'm charging my computer, so if you see me looking down, I have to look down at my computer now. So, but the graphic is still going to be right here. But you know, or here, which way it is, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be here. But yeah, if I'm looking straight and looking down, my computer's got to be here. So I apologize for that. But okay, as I said, Lions had a fantastic showing. They go on to take the Carolina Panthers on in what I think will be a fun game. And the Lions' playoffs hopes are looking good. So I'm very excited. What a time it is to be a Lions fan right now. But yeah. All right, next game. We have the Eagles versus the Bears. Before I look at this game, Jalen Hurts. We got to talk about it. Jalen Hurts in this game suffered a sprained shoulder. It's questionable if he's going to play this Saturday against the Cowboys. So that's very I don't know. That's tough. You guys are going to see my prediction on what happened. My prediction is based off if Jalen does not play. But if he does play, it could obviously, Eagles could obviously take it. But I have the Cowboys since this happened with Jalen. But if Jalen does play, I do think they will win unless he gets taken out in the game. If I'm Jalen Hurts, I don't show hate to the Eagles. I think they're a great team. They have no weakness. They're a very powerful team. But if I'm Jalen, if you want to make it to the playoffs as good as you were in the season, and if you want to make it to the Super Bowl and win it, take off this game. Just take off this game. You have your playoff spot clinched. Rest up. Rest up. That's what I'm saying. Rest up. Okay? Because if you play and you rush this, you could easily get taken out by any defense. Especially if they go into the playoffs and they got to play the 49ers. The Niners will wipe them out, and the Niners will be very aggressive on them. So I'm telling you, if I'm Jalen Hurts, don't do it. Don't play on Saturday. Get better. But yeah, as I said, here we go. Eagles, Bears. This was actually a very, very shocking game. Chicago Bears coming into this 3-11 record. They're already eliminated. While the Eagles are, they're the top team in the league right now with 13-1. And Eagles, surprisingly, they barely escaped 25-20. Let's have a rundown on what happened. Jalen Hurts, 315 yards, 2 interceptions, got sacked 1 time, no touchdowns. While Justin Fields had 152 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and got sacked 6 times. So as I said, the Philadelphia defense is absolutely incredible. Rushing wise, Jalen Hurts leads that as well with 17 carries, 61 yards, and 3 touchdowns, while Justin Fields leads that with 15 carries, 95 yards, and no touchdowns. So it looked like the quarterbacks really carried the passing and rushing in this game. Receiving wise, A.J. Brown for the Philadelphia Eagles got 9 receptions, 181 yards, no touchdowns, while Byron Pringle led the Bears with 2 receptions, 39 yards, 1 touchdown. But as I said, it was 10-6 going into the half, and coming out of it, 25-0, and the Eagles just barely escaped this one. I don't know. I don't know what happened in this game. I don't know if the Bears had life or the Eagles just had an off day. But as I said, the Eagles, they got a game against the Cowboys, which is going to be a very fun one to watch. I cannot wait for that game this weekend. If Jalen Hurts is not playing, I think Dak Prescott is going to take the Cowboys to a win. But if Jalen's playing, it's going to be a fun game. So yeah, as I said, Eagles win 25-20 against the Bears here. All right, next game we had on NFL Sunday for Week 16. Or Week 15, I'm sorry. We had the Atlanta Falcons take on the New Orleans Saints. I picked the Falcons in this game. It was really tough for me to pick because both these teams had the same, record. But as I said, we'll see where things went wrong for me. Falcons-wise, Desmond Ridder led the passing yards, 97 passing yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, but got sacked 4 times. So he did pretty decent, while Andy Dalton led the New Orleans passing with 151 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, got sacked twice. So no interceptions for both these quarterbacks, so congrats to them. That's pretty hard to do, but they both did get sacked a little bit, so that's obviously not their fault. Receiving wise, Atlanta for Tyler Allgeier, 17 carries, 139 yards, 1 touchdown for him. And then Alvin Kamara, 21 carries, 91 yards, no touchdowns for him. Receiving wise, Drake London led the Falcons one with 7 receptions, 70 yards, no touchdowns. And then Rashad Shaheed with 3 receptions, 95 yards, 1 touchdown. And I think it was a close game. It definitely was a close game, just like it was expected to be. It's the Falcons and the Saints. They're 2 teams that are not the best, but they have some, they have some good spots in them. But as I said, Saints do pull away with it, 21-18 against the Falcons. Falcons moved down to 5-9, while the Saints are 5-9 as well. So I'm sorry. So I guess the Falcons did have the better record in this game. That's why I picked the Falcons. But yeah, Saints. I don't know who they have next in their schedule, but I think they will do pretty good. I think they're doing pretty all right. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs though. All right, next game we had was the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Lions' opponent this Sunday, the Carolina Panthers. Panthers actually lost this game, which could, lead to some frustrations into this Saturday. They could be more focused. But as I said, Panthers fall to 5-9. Steelers move up to 6-8. Steelers are looking pretty good going to the playoffs. They are now. They did win 24-16. Mitch Trubisky had 179 passing yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, got sacked once, while Sam Darnold had 225 passing yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, and got sacked 4 times. So it kind of cancels each other out. Mitch obviously had less sacks, while Sam had more touchdowns. Rushing wise, Harris led the Pittsburgh Steelers with 24 carries, 86 yards, 1 touchdown, while Hubbard led the Carolina rushing with 4 carries, 10 yards, and no touchdowns. Receiving wise, Johnson led the Pittsburgh receiving with 10 receptions, 98 yards, no touchdowns, while DJ Moore led the Carolina receiving with 5 receptions, 73 yards, 1 touchdown. But as I said, going into the half, it was 17-7. Pittsburgh was up, and it did not stop Pittsburgh coming out of the game. Total, as I said, 24-16. As the Panthers get ready for the Lions, Steelers, I can't recall who they're playing next. Next episode, I'll have those ready. Mark my word. But yeah, Steelers do move up, and the Panthers move down. All right, next game we had was the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And what was probably the biggest, outside of the Vikings and the Colts, the biggest upset of this week. I'll get into that right now. Dak Prescott led the passing for Dallas, 256 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and got sacked 3 times, while Trevor Lawrence had a great game with 318 yards of passing, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 sack. So I honestly, in my personal opinion, Trevor Lawrence did have the better game over Dak Prescott. Rushing wise, Tony Pollard led the Dallas rushing, with 19 carries, 75 yards, no touchdowns, while Travis led the Jacksonville rushing with 19 carries, 103 yards, no touchdowns as well. Receiving wise, CeeDee Lamb led Dallas with 7 receptions, 126 yards, no touchdowns, while Zay Jones led the Jacksonville receiving 6 receptions, 109 yards, 3 touchdowns. Fantastic game for Zay Jones right there. But as I said, Dallas being up going into the half, they were up 21-7, leading Jacksonville going into the half. And out of the half, Jacksonville turns it on, and they score just point after point after point after point. And in the end, it is Dak Prescott that is going into OT. Dak Prescott goes to throw, intercepted, and Jacksonville runs it back. They beat the Dallas Cowboys 40-34 in overtime. Dallas being one of the top teams in the NFC right now. And Jacksonville are they're in the playoff hunt, but they had a 5-8 record. Dallas fall to 10-4, while Jacksonville rise up to 6-8. Jacksonville having a great show of, a great football team ever since they lost to the Lions. It seems like the Lions are changing teams. I don't know what it is. But yeah, Jacksonville, great game. But they defeat the Dallas Cowboys, and Dallas has to go play the Eagles this Sunday or Saturday, which will be a great game. But as I said, massive upset. Congratulations to the Jacksonville Jaguars on that big, big, big win. All right, Kansas City Chiefs and the Texans. These two colliding in what was, another very surprising game. I think Week 15 was, as I said, 2 back-to-back weeks of just fantastic football, but I think this week was better than Week 14. But yeah, Kansas City Chiefs, let's see the stats here. Patrick Mahomes led passing yards with 336 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 sacks, while Davis Mills led the Houston Texans passing with 121 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and did not get sacked. Rushing-wise, Isaiah led with 15 carries, 86 yards, no touchdowns, while Royce Freeman led Houston with 11 carries, 51 yards, which is a little low, and no touchdowns. Receiving wise, obviously, for Kansas City, who do you think? Travis Kelce, 10 receptions, 105 yards, no touchdowns. While Chris Moore led the Texans receiving, 4 receptions, 42 yards, and no touchdowns. The numbers really don't, the stats really don't show you how close this game actually was. Going in the half, it was Houston up 14-13, surprisingly. As I said, the Chiefs were 10-3. The Chiefs were 10-3. Well, the Texans were 1-11. I mean, it's crazy to see what happened. They did this back last week in Week 14. They had a close game with one of the best teams. But as I said, these two teams did go into overtime, but it was Kansas City that ended up getting the winning touchdown, and Chiefs win 30-24 against the Texans. They surprisingly escape the Texans, but they clinched their division, and the Chiefs are now looking into the playoffs with an 11-3 record, while Houston get the first pick in the draft this next year with a 1-12-1 record. So hopefully Houston has a better record next year. But yeah. All right, next game we had on that Sunday. We had the Arizona Cardinals with no Kyler Murray take on the Denver Broncos. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think I did have the Broncos in this game. But let's look at the stats. Trace McSorley led the Arizona passing with Kyler being out. 95 yards, 2 interceptions, 1 sack. While Brett Rypien who was leading as Denver's quarterback with Russell Wilson not playing for some reason. Hope he's playing this next game. But as I said, he had 197 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and got sacked 7 times. So that is really high for that number. Rushing wise, James Conner led the Cardinals. 16 carries, 63 yards, 1 touchdown, while Murray led the rushing yards for Denver, 24 carries, 130 yards, and 1 touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins led the Arizona receiving, 7 receptions, 60 yards, no touchdowns, while Jerry Jeudy led Denver with 7 receptions, 76 yards, and no touchdowns. Going into the half, it was 6-0. It was 6-3 Arizona, and then coming out of the half, Broncos just found something, and they end up winning 24-15. Arizona drops to 4-10. I'm pretty sure they are out now, and Denver are 4-10 as well, who are also out. So yeah, a game that didn't really matter. Actually, I think the Cardinals are still in it. I think they do have to win out, but I don't know. I don't think that'll be enough. But yeah, Denver has been eliminated already. But yeah. All right, next game we had after that game with Denver and the Cardinals. We also had on that Sunday another pretty crazy game, if you ask me. Patriots, Raiders. I watched this game, and I think it was a pretty decent game for both these guys. Mac Jones had 112 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks, so pretty good. While Derek Carr had 231 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and got sacked 3 times. Ramondre Stevenson had 19 carries, 172 yards, 1 touchdown for the Patriots, while Josh Jacobs had 22 carries, 93 yards, and no touchdowns for the Raiders. Receiving wise, Jacoby Myers had 2 receptions, 47 yards for the Patriots, and no touchdowns, while Keelan Cole led the receiving for the Raiders with 2 receptions, 50 yards, and 1 touchdown. So they had a pretty good game there. But the problem is here. Patriots were winning. Patriots had a fantastic chance at this. It was about to go into OT, and Mac Jones he snaps the ball instead of kneeling, which he should have done. He goes to pass. He goes to run it. They go to run. They go to throw it back, and they run it backwards. And then they go to throw it again. It's intercepted and gone, ran back into the end zone. Raiders end up taking this with a pick-off interception off the last play of the game, which was probably one of the, I don't know, one of the craziest games. Like, I'm serious. It was Chandler Jones that picked it off. I don't know. It just made the Patriots look stupid, I think. But yeah, as I said, Raiders do take this one, upset over the Patriots, who are now a 500 team at 7-7, while the Raiders are still yet to be a 500 team, as they are now 6-8. Our next game we had on this on Monday Night Football, or Sunday Night Football, sorry. We had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take on we'll cover that one later. It was the Tennessee Titans taking on the Chargers, and we had a fantastic game by these guys as well. I had the Titans going in. I did not know they had all those injuries. I did discuss that on the news video. If you guys did not watch that, go check it out. It was a very good video. We had some good discussion on there. But let's discuss his. Ryan Tannehill with 165 passing yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, and got sacked 4 times, while Justin Herbert had 313 passing yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and got sacked 3 times. Derrick Henry led the rushing for the Titans, 21 carries, 104 yards, 1 touchdown, while Austin Eckler had 12 carries, 158 yards, and 1 touchdown, leading the Chargers rushing. Receiving-wise for the Titans, Derrick Henry led it with 4 receptions, 59 yards, no touchdowns, while Keenan Allen, I think for the second week in a row, led the rushing for the Chargers with 8 receptions, 86 yards, and no touchdowns. Going into the half, we were all tied up at 7, and then coming out of the half, the Chargers, the Titans and Chargers both put another 7 on the board. But it's the Chargers who get the lucky field goal in the end to take the victory over the Titans. Again, an incredible game by these two teams. But the Titans are now a 500 team, while the Chargers are now above 500 and are 8-6. So a great game by both those teams, and I cannot wait to see where they go coming out of the playoffs. All right, now it is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Cincinnati Bengals. This was another game that just, what happened with the leading team in the first half? Tampa Bay obviously piling on points in the first half. It was 17-3 going into halftime, the Buccaneers being up, and Cincinnati just come out and just start powering on points. Bengals win 34-23 in Tampa. Joe Burrow had 200 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, 2 sacks, while Tom Brady had 312 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and got sacked 1 time. Rushing wise, Perrine led the rushing yards, 7 carries, 24 yards, and no touchdowns, while Leonard Fournette had 10 carries, 44 yards, and no touchdowns in that game. Receiving-wise, Ja'Marr Chase, who is a fantastic player, 7 receptions, 60 yards, 1 touchdown, leading the Bengals receiving, while Chris Godwin led the receiving there in Tampa with 8 receptions, 3 yards, and 1 touchdown. But as I said, Bengals move up to 10-4. Buccaneers fall to 6-8, and their playoff chances are looking a little low here. But the Bengals do pull away 34-23 here in Week 15 in what was a very shocking turn of events coming out of the halftime. All right, now we're moving on to the final game of Sunday Night Football. We had the Giants Commanders in a game that The one game where I thought the Commanders would actually win, they fall to the Giants 20-12. Let's look at the rundown here. Daniel Jones with 160 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, did not get sacked, while Taylor Heinicke had 249 passing yards with one touchdown and got sacked 3 times. Saquon Barkley led the New York rushing with 18 carries, 87 yards, 1 touchdown, while Brian Robinson Jr. led the Washington rushing with 12 carries, 89 yards, and no touchdowns. Receiving wise for the Giants, Richie James had 4 receptions, 42 yards, no touchdowns, while John Dodson led the Washington receiving 4 receptions, 105 yards, and 1 touchdown. Going into the half, it was 14-3 Giants, and the Giants did not let go of that lead. It became 20-12 Giants do beat the Commanders after this team's recent bout with a tie. Giants do end up taking this, and the Commanders do fall in the playoff picture, while the Giants do move up quite a bit. Giants move up to 8-5-1, while the Commanders are now 7-6-1. All right, that was the last game of Sunday Night Football, and moving into Monday Night Football, which was just 2 days ago. The Green Bay Packers hosted the Los Angeles Rams in what was a pretty one-sided show. It was pretty crazy, as I said. A bunch of turnovers, as I said. But I had the Rams. Obviously, I was wrong. Baker did just have a lucky week last week. But let's look at the rundown. Baker Mayfield, 111 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 5 sacks. While Aaron Rodgers had 229 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and got sacked 3 times. Cam Akers led the rushing for the Rams, 12 carries, 65 yards, no touchdowns, while Aaron Jones led the Green Bay rushing, 17 carries, 90 yards, no touchdowns. Rams receiving, Cam Akers again with 3 receptions, 35 yards, no touchdowns, leading the Rams receiving, and Romeo Doubs with 5 receptions, 55 yards, no touchdowns, leading the Packers receiving. Going into the half, it was 10-6 Green Bay, and they did not let go of that lead. And the final score, 24-12. Rams fall to 4-10. The Super Bowl reigning champions are knocked off their pedestal, and they are eliminated from the playoffs now, as the Packers are looking to win out and make it to the playoffs this year. And that is what they're going to have to do, as they will have to take on the Miami Dolphins this Saturday in what will be a fun game to watch as well. But as I said, guys, news-wise, Jalen Hurts has that shoulder injury. We'll cover a little bit more right now. But yeah, Jalen Hurts does have that shoulder injury. I do hope that he does recover. As I said earlier, if I'm Jalen Hurts, don't play. That's what I'm saying. Do not play if you're Jalen Hurts. But as I said, a fantastic week of NFL football here. Lions are trying to make it to the playoffs. Packers are trying to make it to the playoffs. A lot of teams are trying to edge their way to that playoff spot. Eagles and Bills have already clinched their spot, and they are already in the automatic bye in the playoffs. But yeah, great games this week, and I'm very excited for Week 16 and what that's going to bring. But as I said, no news this Saturday. Madden Mobile Mondays episode 1 was launched this past Monday. Go check it out. It was a great episode. Next Monday will be the new release. I will cover on what happened. My season got deleted, and I had to restart. So I lost the Vikings the first game, but we have it on record. I did win. But this week we got to take on the Arizona Cardinals in the Lions season, episode 2. As I said, and Madden Mobile Mondays. As I said, no news on Saturday. The shorts for my predictions will be out on Friday. I found, as I was playing Madden Mobile a bit more today, I did pick up a couple more really insane clips that I had. So we're going to go ahead and throw those out there when that gets going as well, just to throw some content out there every day. But thank you guys for joining me on What Happened Wednesday 4. On this Wednesday December 21st, 2022. This was NFL Week 15 coverage. Week 16 is going to be starting on Thursday, as the Jacksonville Jaguars will be hosting, I believe, hang on a minute, forgive me here, I should have had this ready, I didn't think I was going to discuss this. Here we go. Okay, Jacksonville will not be hosting, but starting Thursday, Jacksonville Jaguars, I did not put this in my prediction, so you guys are getting this exclusively. Jacksonville Jaguars will travel to New York to take on the Jets, who lost to the Lions previously. It's going to be a very fun game. If I had to be honest, I'm taking the Jets. I got to take the Jets. If Mike White's playing, that'd be awesome. I have a feeling he will, or they might keep Zach Wilson in there. Who knows? But I think it's going to be a close game. But overall, I think the Jets will take this one, as they gave the Lions a pretty good fight. But otherwise, my other predictions will be posted on Friday in the short. So go and check that out on Friday. And yeah, thank you guys for joining me on What Happened Wednesday, episode 2, NFL Week 15. And thank you guys for watching this Super Sports Talk Show. I am your host, Carter. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys later.